Hey, welcome in.
Welcome to the Arrowhead Addict podcast.
We are here coming to you live.
The Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. You only win a Super Bowl 2 times every 5 years, right?
Oh!
The warm-up act is over. Let's bring in Melissa Etheridge, massive Chiefs fan. Melissa,
Super Bowl champion, 2-time Pro Bowler, and Trent Green. Trent Green, how you doing?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
and he picked it up! He picked it up! He's gonna score! And we'll see you next week. But until then, as always, go Chiefs.
I don't want to play this week. I just played in Germany and need some sleep. It might sound crazy, but it ain't no life. Chiefs are on the bye. Bye. What's up? My name is JC Shazay. I'm here with Lance Bass. We're talking to you live from the Arrowhead Addict podcast. Bye-week edition. Bye. We got a lot to talk about, breaking down our remaining thoughts on the Dolphins. The bye week gives us a great chance to assess the midseason, but my friend, my partner, it's not really Lance Bass, it's Sterling Holmes. How are you, man?
Dude, I am good.
Yeah.
I'm good. Repping some Independence today, some Mugs Up root beer. It's a great day. I'm here with you, Matt. If you come
good,
in
you
that strong of an intro,
I told you I didn't have anything, and then I pulled out a little Timberlake.
you lied. I mean, that was outstanding.
Thanks.
Anytime you start with a song,
I'm here for the people.
and we are here to give back to the people, okay? And that's what we do with SuperDraft DFS. If you've not heard of SuperDraft DFS, listen in. SuperDraft hosts daily fantasy prop games where you can compete for a chance to win cash prizes. The game is simple. For each contest, you are given a pool of props for upcoming games. You pick whether each prop will be over or under the given total. You can choose up to 8 different props for a bigger win. If you want to join in on the action, we've got you covered. Sign up with our promo code ARROW today and receive a deposit match up to $20. You will also receive a free pick in your first game. Think of it like a free square in bingo or a free leg to a parlay. Using code ARROW and signing up not only gets you these great rewards, but also lets you directly support our podcast. So make sure you use the promo code ARROW when you sign up. Offers available to new customers who are 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, 21 plus in Massachusetts, and physically present in valid states. Please remember to always game responsibly. Check the episode description for the full terms of the offer.
Folks, we appreciate you joining us on this episode, as Sterling so greatly said there. Yeah, look, hey, before we get into it, we're at the midseason here. Just want to point out, I think we just eclipsed 17,000 subscribers on YouTube. We've just had great gains in all areas. More than that, like I've just so enjoyed this season, like interacting with like readers or people on Twitter, like people here in the chat, whatever. Just want to say here up front, because normally we save this stuff for the end of the show, like thanks guys and everyone, but the bye week is just a great way to like for a second pause. Like Andy says, we're gonna self-scout this week, right? And if we're self-scouting here, like I love working with Sterling and Richard and the rest of the team. And not only that, but we just love you guys too. So yeah, just always want to say thanks for ever hanging out with us. And if you're listening, if you want to press that like button, if you want to subscribe, if you haven't already, if you want to follow Sterling on Twitter at HomestretchKC, etc., things like that. Yeah, we just appreciate all that. So anyway, I just wanted to get that out front because it just felt right and good and all. Folks, on this show, we're going to get to a lot of things, but it's time to hand out our annual Arrowhead Addict Midseason Awards. This will be the first annual, so we're making this an annual thing just by saying it, right?
The inaugural.
I don't know. Whatever it is. Here we are. So look, Sterling and I, we're going to reflect back on the season so far, what we think, hand out some awards that are obvious, hand out some awards that are not so obvious. breaking down the season so far as we see it, as well as talking about the season coming up. Look, every award show builds up to the big one. But we're just going to start with the big one. Most valuable player. Now, look, normally on the Chiefs, you're like, all right, who's the most valuable player non-Mahomes? This year, you may feel a little bit differently. The numbers are a little bit down. At the same time, it also kind of gets weird with defense. So when I was breaking this down, I thought, let's go MVP on offense and MVP on defense, and then we won't have to like cross weird wires or whatever. Sterling, how would you like to reveal your first award recipient of this esteemed broadcast? There's no red carpet, by the way. I went outside and it was like, it's just my cat. I don't know what was going on there, but no one was here. Anyway, who is your offensive MVP for this season so far?
My mind was kind of a blank space originally, and then I went, oh yeah, the guy who's played in 8 games and has nearly 600 yards receiving. He's not fallen off. He's still a stud, even when he's banged up. Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce is the offensive MVP. He's been the only receiver sans Rashee Rice to get open at all. Not only that, he's obviously very involved as a blocker. Travis Kelce is the MVP for the offense so far. Without him, I can't even begin to imagine what this offense would look like. Honestly, you know, we talk about what's life post Travis Kelce. At least for this season, we hope that does not happen because he's been banged up. But even a banged up Travis Kelce takes enough eyes on the opposing defense to at least allow one-on-one coverages to the outside, especially for Rashee Rice. You know, Travis Kelce, a zone beater. You try go to man coverage against him as the Chargers try to do, and he cooked them. I mean, again. Or I think it was the Broncos, actually. But again, it doesn't matter. Travis Kelce is still playing at a very high level, on pace in 8 games, 600 yards. You take that over a full season, that's a 1,200-yard performance right there. He is still as good as ever.
Dude, he's the model of consistency in a league where any level of productivity is so hard. I want to agree with you, but I also give a shout out. My offensive MVP, this is a little weird, but there was no other place to put him, actually, and I'm a believer here. I'm going Harrison Butker. I'm going Harrison Butker as my offensive MVP because, look.
Technicality.
I mean, you got to go with the offense you can get, and a lot of times all they can get is 3. Let's be honest. When you're 1 of 8 in the red zone versus the Broncos, when you go, 0-5 against the Jets, look, you're not scoring tutties. You're not getting 6. You're getting 3. And you know who is always delivered every time they need 3? Harrison Butker has as many field goals right now as he had all of last season. Like, if you want to know how the Chiefs offense has overall performed, that's it. So I have a hard time giving MVP on an offense that's sputtering like they have when there is a guy who's been bailing them out all year. Several times he's stepped up and like, hey, from 50-something yards, bam, he's automatic. Chip shots, automatic. We've questioned him in the past. This year, he hasn't missed anything, 100%. He's not talked about enough. He has given this team, on a team that's redefined itself as a defense and field position sort, like where that is way more important than it is. Harrison Butker is a vital performer. So yeah. I'm sorry to everyone out there.
I agree, but it's a technicality. Okay, that's special teams. But
you're a technicality.
Whoa, dude. Whoa, dude.
I'm sorry. I got a little carried away.
No, but you're right, though, man. He's been so consistent. Is the whole reason why I said don't give up on him when he goes to those extra point woes. When he was injured last year and came back and struggled, like he has been the second best kicker in the NFL for a long time. Well, and this year he's been the best. He's been better than Justin Tucker. I'm not saying if you were to decide, who would you take, you're probably still leaning Tucker. But the fact that it's even a conversation makes it incredible. Harrison Butker is back. He is healthy. He's right between the ears. Dude, you were totally right. I mean, Butker, and he's not just sneaking these in. I mean, these are drilled and they're through the middle. It's like in golf, if you're a you're busting the drive route. It's a tight tee shot, and you're like, wow, I just saw one dude shank it left, one dude shake it right, and Bucker goes, all right, boys, get on my back. I will carry you. And that's what the offense has done. They've been shanking it left and right. This is a scramble, and Bucker's like, all right, fellas. They're like, don't you want to take an iron? He goes, no. Give me the driver. And just pipes it 330 straight. That's what Harrison Butker's been.
Yeah. Love it. What about your defensive MVP for the year? Who would that be?
Wow, that's a good question. I'm going Trent McDuffie. Trent McDuffie, in my opinion, was the best cornerback, not just on the Chiefs, best cornerback on the field last night, right? He's been better than Jalen Ramsey, better than Xavier Howard, which is very tough to say because they're both very good. I mean, you're putting him in the conversation now with Sauce Gardner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like Sauce Gardner and him. It's been incredible, man. And he's not going to get the recognition probably he deserves because he doesn't get a lot of interceptions, right? That's not his game. And quite frankly, it hasn't been the Chiefs' game outside of Marcus Peters. It must be a philosophy thing. I personally believe that they're saying, hey, you knock it down, you get tight on these guys. We don't want to give him the big play. And so he doesn't. How often do you see him get burnt? I know give up that touchdown. It may have been PI, let's be real, got a little nice push in the back on that one. But again, one play, two plays out of the year that stand out. McDuffie has been nails. He's a great tackler, as I mentioned before, as a joke. Call him Trent McStuffy. He has forced 4 fumbles. As a cornerback.
Yeah.
The whole knock was he's a little undersized, not a big cornerback. Doesn't matter. Dude is physical as hell. He can blitz. He does it all. Trent McDuffie, in my opinion, is a top 5 corner easy in the NFL. He's number 1 on this team. He's number 1 in my heart. He's the number 1 MVP for the defensive side of the ball for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I'm glad to hear you say that. I love McDuffie. I loved the pick coming out last year. He's so instinctive. Like here's what I love about McDuffie. Not only is he good right now, right? Even as he declines, and let's say 8 years, whatever it is, that intelligence and those instincts will actually help him like age gracefully at the, like, you know how Richard Sherman has aged really well at the position. Stephon Gilmore aged really well at the position. Like those kind of guys who are so smart on the field, even as like they're less fluid, they automatically know where to be. He's just going to be that kind of a study, long-term study. I hope the Chiefs just re-up him once or even twice because he's going to be that good for a long time. That said, I had to go Chris Jones. Up front, and I know he's had some frustrating. I mean, we're coming right off of the game where he shoved a guy and everyone was like pulling out their collective hair about like, what the are you doing? But we saw him come down from the stands. He's sitting between the Katz brothers, right, in week 1. Then he like comes down from the stands onto the field in week 2, and we're like, is he going to be on a snap count? Is he going to be ready to play? How slovenly is he going to look? Is he going to wipe the Cheeto dust off his pants before he suits up? Like, and then he steps right. The dude steps right in. And I thought every one of these incentives in his contract was laughable. He was like, oh, I get $500,000 if I get defensive player of the year. And I'm like, yeah.
And win a Super Bowl.
Right. And I'm like, oh, yeah, my wife told me I get like $50 million if I'm elected president. I mean, like, it just all sounds so stupid. Like, you're not getting any of that stuff. You just signed and you missed the first week. And then he comes in and he's like, yeah, I'm getting defensive player of the year in 1 game less than everyone else, mother. So, yeah, I love it, man. I mean, Chris Jones came in, stepped right back into where he was. Karlaftis looks so good playing with him. Omenihu jumps right in. That unit up front, I don't know what you have if you remove him as that primary engine. I like a lot of the other parts, but with Chris Jones, you know, they're like second in sacks overall this year, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, man, that dude is a beast. And I just don't know how the defense operates without it. They're an elite unit, man. They're like one of the NFL's best, and he's the best player on an elite unit.
Yeah, it's been a very sturdy unit, and he is the anchor. And we've said unit a lot, and I think we need to take a quick pause from saying unit because I said sturdy unit, and I'm not a fan.
Oh.
Yeah.
Folks.
folks.
Hey, folks.
No, but man, you're right, dude. I mean, Chris
Yeah.
Jones, even with some of the numbers or lack thereof being put up in the past couple of weeks, it's because he's getting double teamed. And what he does is take all the focus off of everyone else. It allows Mike Dana, who has 5.5 sacks, to step up. It allows George Karlaftis, who has 6 sacks, to step up, right? He's the focal point. It allows one-on-ones for everyone else so they can get theirs. He is that much of a game wrecker, a game changer. I'm with you there. I'm still going McDuffie, but I'm not going to knock you for that pick.
Sure. Let's go rookie of the year. It's not that there's like a lot of competition here. Let's be honest. This rookie class isn't exactly earning tons of playing time. At the same time, who you got?
It's a tough one, man. BJ Thompson.
It's got to be BJ Thompson. Got to be.
Keandre Coburn. It's tough.
I got to go with Shamari Connor, man. He is tearing it up.
Yeah,
Up.
Come on. It's Rashee Rice. We all know it's Rashee Rice. He's been very, very good, on pace for nearly 725 yards this season. Again, it's not Garrett Wilson. It's not Chris Olave, what they did in their first season. But again, he was not drafted that high either. Rashee Rice has been a revelation for the Kansas City Chiefs. Without him, this wide receiver group would be even worse. He's been great in the slot. He's really solid at getting zone coverage already, which is very impressive. I want to see him a little bit more on the outside. You know, that was kind of what he was touted as. I think it was Adam Best, if I'm not mistaken, said he was going to be that power slot, right? And he has been, right? He's been really good in the slot, but the Chiefs have a lot of slot receivers. It's different when you're in the slot. You're going up against, secondary corners. You're going up against linebackers at times. You're going up against safeties. You should have the advantage. Well, with Sky Moore struggling, maybe put him in the slot, try and get him right. That means move Rashee Rice to the outside where I think he can play. The physical tools he possesses are there. I hope we see that as the season goes on, but Rashee Rice is definitely the rookie of the year for the Chiefs so far.
Yeah, there's really no contest, right? Felix isn't playing at all. Wanye is not playing at all. We talked, Shamari Connor, Nick Jones. They dumped Coburn, and then BJ Thompson has been a healthy scratch all year. So, what's funny is a year ago, we were talking like you had several contenders for rookie of the year. I mean, you had several players who were playing all over the place from that draft class. And then all those guys have so many positions on lockdown. You're looking at this draft class and like, if you guys want to go wait in the hallway for a year, you can do that. And we'll call you in one at a time when we need you. Like it's kind of amazing how the Chiefs went from super thin to super deep in one draft class.
Yeah. I do want to talk about FAU very briefly here. I've seen some folks on Twitter who are like, oh, he's a bust. He can't get onto the field. And I'm sitting here going, can you pump the brakes? This Chiefs defense is second in the NFL in points per game against. They have Mike Dana, the big defensive signing of Charles Omenihu, free agent signing, Chris Jones, who moves to the outside a lot on obvious third downs. Oh, yeah, and George Karlaftis. Who would you like him to take snaps away from?
Right.
Because Karlaftis plays about 80%. Mike Dana was playing about 80% before, and very effectively, before Charles Omenihu got activated. He plays inside, outside, and he's going to be in the field a ton. And Chris Jones is going to play on the field a ton, both inside and outside. So where would you like FAU to play? Okay, it's not that he's not going to be good. It's not like he might not even be decent right now. The fact is, who is he taking snaps away from? This is a very good thing to have. It's a good problem for the Chiefs. They have too much talent. They have too much talent right now on the defense, and specifically the defensive line and at edge. If you're mad about that, go kick rocks, go pound sand somewhere else. Be mad about something else, because this is actually a good thing for the Chiefs. Because what Karlaftis did last year, that's the outlier. That was a necessity. That was not something that the Chiefs wanted to have happen, but they go, oh, bleep, we have to have a rookie play almost the entire, 80, 90% of snaps because we have no one else to play. This year, completely different. FAU is going to be fine. So if you're complaining about him not seeing the field, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, I think that about every rookie. Some people were criticizing Wanye Morris for not being able to lock, we had to sign Donovan Smith because, it's like, man, give these guys a break. Anyway, we're together. I get it. Let's move on to the next award here, Sterling. I want to know what you think. I want to talk about a breakout player of the year. Who would be your player that's taken, like, it doesn't, not a rookie here, but a player who's taken that next leap that you're like, oh hell, he's entering the zone, and it's made all the difference.
Yeah, I think I wanted to go Karlaftis, but potentially someone else on this podcast who does this show might have that already. I don't know. It could be, could not be. It's probably Richard if I was guessing.
Did Richard pick George Karlaftis?
Yeah, he's a big Karlaftis guy. It's weird. Like, Richard doesn't care that much about football, but he loves Karlaftis. He sends us messages. He sends us his water polo stats all the time. It's wild.
Weird, man.
I think McDuffie was a good choice, but McDuffie was really good last year, so that wasn't a huge surprise to me. As far as breakout goes, is Willie Gay Jr. Willie Gay Jr. I kind of thought that he was going to be the odd man out this year. I was thinking, yeah, man, we haven't seen it. I don't know if this is the year we are going to see it with the emergence, or the signing, I should say, of Drew Tranquill. You've seen Nick Bolton improve in pass coverage, right? And then Leo Chenal is still here as well. I thought Willie Gay Jr. might be the odd man out. Well, then Nick Bolton goes down, and Willie Gay Jr. has been electric. I mean, he's been so good, so fast, and he's reading the defenses better, right? Like, he's understanding where to go. This is a guy who's been injured a ton in his career, not just in the NFL, but in college as well. He's getting his NFL acumen, his football acumen underneath him. He's learning. He has the athleticism, and he's so good in all facets. So for me, Willie Gay Jr. has been a pretty big breakout.
Man, I love that you said that, because he was always a guy that you were like, no matter who else was at the position, you'd say, but Willie Gay has the most natural giftedness and talent, like the most potential, or the most athletic, if he puts it all together. And then here comes the contract year, and you got to go
undefeated.
Like, yeah. Like, I think for me, that's a little bit of a hesitation. I mean, I love the year he's having. Man, the dude even played through a lower back or tailbone injury on some, like, he's been playing through that, and looks sensational. He's definitely earning a lot of money for himself, I would think. And I hope for his sake, he makes as much cash flow as he can this offseason. I don't think it'll be from the Chiefs because of maybe some overall depth there and maybe what he'll cost. If he's remotely, what do you call it? If something is like
cost controlled.
Affordable. If he's affordable.
We don't want to say cheap, okay? We're looking for every other word besides that.
If he is affordable, gosh, please bring him back. Like, it's wonderful to have all these guys there, and they're all still young enough to be okay. But yeah, I think the injury concerns plus the contract year may scare me a little bit at a certain figure. But that guy, you're totally right. I love what he's done this whole year. I'm going to go, I got to say Karlaftis. Look, it was me, guys. I said Karlaftis.
Hi, look, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me.
Man, what can you say about the Greek freak that we haven't already said? I mean, he's the defensive end we've been wanting to have for a long time. Homegrown, first round pick, just a year and a half in. He's clearly added much more to his arsenal than just this like power, like bull rush, right? He's got very impressive technique. He's using his hands well. He's added a couple moves, like a couple counter moves when the power rush isn't working. He's shown more finesse than I thought. I just love everything about his development. I don't know if that's working out with Tamba. I don't know if that's working with Joe Cullen. I don't know if that's just because he was only 21 to begin with and he's got a ton of experience. But like whatever it is, he's going to be a player for a long time. And dude, when it's time for him to get an extension, the dude's going to be like 24, 25. Like that's what's just bananas about the whole thing is that he's going to be ripe for an extension, like, when he's barely drinking or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, love it.
Well, and I will also say in regards to Karlaftis, I was so
Hey, if you're with us, I think Sterling just froze, which either is a grand prank on our part. If he unfreezes and he was playing a prank on all this, then I'm not sure what's up. I think what he was going to say was something good about George Karlaftis. I think our producer Richard is going to get with us. Let's go to a couple of the. By the way, we should all comment on the way Sterling looks. You should send him some comments on the way he looks frozen that way. It was kind of a funny face he was making.
I'm so irritated. This happened today during Stack in the Box. Makes no sense. I got full connection, full bar. Wi-Fi's great. No issues at all. Updated everything. Updated my computer. Restarted this bad boy. Updated Google Chrome. Then all of a sudden, I'm sitting here trying to have a nice conversation with my guy, Matty C. And it goes, reconnecting. And then I think, oh, I'm good. It's connected again. And so I give a whole long spiel about George Karlaftis. And what do I know? No one heard it.
No one heard it. You want to give it again?
Yeah. Okay. So George Karlaftis was drafted when he was 21 years old. And everyone's like, yeah, he doesn't have a ton of upside. And I'm sitting here going, how does the guy who's one of the youngest defensive end coming into the NFL from Greece, played water polo growing up, has no upside, no room for movement? But somehow Boye Mafe, who's 2 years older, does all the upside in the world. I'm sitting here going, this is absurd. This is asinine. Can we have some, am I taking crazy pills here? Give me the dude who's younger, who has this NFL body type already, and who's still learning the game. You're telling me that guy doesn't have upside?
Yeah.
Absurd.
Yeah. I remember I talked to Karlaftis' positional coach when he was coming out of the draft, from Purdue. And he told me, he said, do you remember Karlaftis' freshman season at Purdue when he set a Big Ten record or something? He just had an ungodly amount of sacks for a freshman defensive end in the Big Ten play, right? Whatever it was, he had a ton. And then at that point, everyone knew he was on the NFL radar. He's going to be a big pick of some kind. And it all got to his head. So his positional coach was telling me, he's like, dude, he spent the next 2 years trying to look like a pro lineman, trying to add things he wasn't good at doing, or trying to just chase sacks versus round out his game more, or anyway, it all kind of got to his head, right? And made him a different player. And then his stock kind of went down because his production went down. He wasn't naturally growing. He was emphasizing some very weird things, getting some weird advice. I think the Chiefs totally lucked out on that. I think they got a guy who was a little bit lower stock-wise because he peaked too early, and then it got to him mentally, and then other people were like, well, maybe that was, yeah. So kudos to the Chiefs for great scouting there. Let's go to the next one. We talked about breakout players and what we like about Karlaftis and whoever you chose. It wasn't a very good pick because it wasn't my pick. But what do you think about who's your bust player of the year?
I hate doing this. Hate doing it. There's a lot of guys you can actually choose from. I thought Kadarius Toney, but he's been a little banged up. I had higher expectations for Sky Moore than I did for Kadarius Toney. So I'm going Sky Moore. I'm not saying he's going to be a bust forever. I'm not saying that he'll never figure anything out, but man, I was very high on him. I saw what he did in college. I see all of the combine numbers, and I see a comp that is very similar, eerily similar to Deontay Johnson for the Steelers. Deontay Johnson for the Steelers is an incredible talent. His only issue is he drops the ball 10% of the time. Right. I mean, it's a serious issue, but he still puts up 80 yards a game, 12 targets, 8 receptions. Right. I go, okay, look at the combine numbers. Look at the small school. Look at the size. Look at the speed, the stature. Look at even the 3-cone drill. It's creepy how similar they were. And I go, same player, but Sky Moore has bigger hands. He won't have as many drops as Deontay. I think the Chiefs really got themselves a guy that can get open against man in tight windows. He'll get separation. I was wrong. I'm not saying he's been the worst player on the Chiefs this year. I think he sometimes gets a bad rep because, he's never the first option on these plays. He's playing on the outside when he was going to be a slot. He's having the deck stacked against him a little bit as well. But man, he has let me down because I was fully expecting 800 yards easy from Sky Moore.
Mm. Boy, that's a great pick. It's hard not to pick that because I think you and I were both on the same page. I was a big believer in Sky. I thought, well, you said it. You already said it all. I'm going to go Justin Ross. Maybe this is too automatic of a pick, but look, man, the hype, the amount of people who were just so excited that he made the active roster, even if he didn't get arrested, even if he wasn't on something called the NFL Commissioner's exemption list right now, even if he were still on the active roster and sitting there for his one play a game to be I guess it was more like 2 or 3 plays a game, whatever it is, he just took over the Jody Fortson mantle of rarely used, quote, end zone targets. And even then it wasn't all that exciting. And then he goes out and, has a moment that, now he's got legal drama, and it sounds like there was some sort of assault and destruction of property or whatever's going on there. And you just think, okay, well, dude, you just ruined the biggest opportunity you'll ever have. And I just don't see how that's a total bust. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating because I think a lot of people were pretty excited about what he could be based on what he showed in college. And he'd worked hard to get that spot. So, that's what I think. I think it's, I went Justin Ross.
Yeah, I see a lot of people saying Clyde, and I can't get there because I had no expectations for Clyde this year. I mean, realistically, this is a little bit what I thought he was going to be. I actually thought he was going to be used a little bit more than this personally, just to try and save Isaiah Pacheco. But I didn't have high expectations for him, so I can't say it's a bust because he was a bust of a pick from the get-go. When he was drafted 32nd overall in the first round or 31st overall, I forget if there was that was the year that was it the Patriots got caught or for tampering or something like that, or the Bucs, whatever that was, Miami for Tom Brady. Doesn't matter. He should have been a first round draft pick. It was absurd at the time. It's absurd now. I will forever sit here saying, yeah, Sterling, calm down. It's a sunk cost, but I'm still angry about it.
You should be. Well, hey, look, let's go next here. What's your biggest surprise in a good way of the season?
I got 2. I'm going to say Harrison Butker. It's not a huge surprise to me personally because I was always kind of backing him, saying he's going to get it right. But this is more, I guess, of an I told you so because I feel good about Butker because I just think we get too caught up in kickers, and NFL teams do this all the time. Not just fans, but NFL teams. They'll cut guys when they go through struggles, then you'll see them get picked up on another team, and they're absolute studs. Like Butker was a practice squad member of the Carolina Panthers. Younghoe Koo, for a long time, was getting bounced around the NFL, and now he's one of the better kickers in the NFL for the Atlanta Falcons, right? He was a Charger. Then the Chargers had their own kicking woes for years. They finally seemingly found a guy with Cameron Dicker, right? But Butker's a guy you don't give up on, and this is why, okay? I know it's easy to say you got one job, make it. Yeah, well, if everyone had one job, then no kickers would ever miss a kick. Like, there's a reason why there's a select few that stay and play a long time in the NFL. Butker's one. But I'm going to go with the defense, man. I thought the defense was going to be top 10 by the end of the season. I said top 10. Dog, they're top 3, and they might be 2. It's the Ravens and them. I mean, the Chiefs have been electric at all levels. The linebackers, Bolton goes down, doesn't matter. They find a way. Defensive line, don't have Chris Jones for a game, they figure it out. Like Charles Minna, who's out for 6 games, they weather the storm. I mean, this team is just so deep at every single level. So good. This defense to me is the biggest surprise by far. And shout out to Spagnuolo. Spags needs all the credit for all the folks that ripped on him for years. Even when the Chiefs were doing good, whenever they were winning, it was still fire Spags. Absurd. Look who's laughing now. This again, he's a five-time to the Super Bowl coordinator. Only defensive coordinator to win a Super Bowl for 2 different teams. I mean, like, Spags this is his masterpiece right now.
Yeah. Is there a Hall of Fame case for a guy like that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think legitimately there is. He's the only defensive coordinator to do that, right? Win a Super Bowl as a DC for 2 different teams. that Giants defense obviously was one of the better ones, one of the best ones probably in NFL history, right? Not the best, but one of the best ones. And then you see what he's doing here in Kansas City. I mean, he's perpetually had this team playing really good in big time games. And those are the ones that you remember. You don't remember regular season weeks 1 through 8. You remember end of season in the playoffs. And he's been good in all of those.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna do a little curveball here. My biggest good surprise of the season, the rest of the AFC West. I just can't believe. Look, the Chiefs are going to be the favorites in the division, right? That's like that. When you win 7 straight and you have Patrick Mahomes, that's the way that goes. But look, man, I'm looking at this division, and I thought it was going to be peskier. I thought Sean Payton may mean more in Denver. I thought that the Chargers window was more open than it is. I thought maybe they'll put something together. The Raiders have a few very good players along with a lot of weaknesses, but I thought, maybe there'd be a spark there. The fact that the Chiefs were in control of this division so quickly, like that the competition was a nothing burger, that they look like, you remember when the Patriots were playing in the AFC East for years and you would point and go, it's like the best team in the NFL and then 3 kids that you said, put your head on top of a baseball bat, spin around in circles 10 times, and then start running. Like that's how it was. It was
Did you
just
ever play that game though? Did you ever play Dizzy Bat?
I did. I'm horrible at it.
No, but the one where have you done the one where you chop off? You get a wiffle ball bat. You chop off the end. You pour beer in it. You chug the beer first. Then however many seconds it takes you to finish the beer, you have to do that many spins. Let's just say it takes you 7 seconds to finish the beer. You got to do 7 spins then. Then you throw the can to the pitcher, and then they throw it to you, and you have to try and hit it. It's a lot of fun. Drink responsibly, kids.
No, I did not. Maybe that's
not kids. Drink responsibly, 21 and older people.
Yeah, of course. Maybe that's what Sky Moore plays before. Maybe that's why we're not seeing anything there. I don't know. Maybe that's why Richie James hasn't shown up, because he's been playing that with you. I'm sorry, I said Richie James there. That's I just thought the West would be better. Not only did they roll over for the Chiefs in the first 6 games of the year total, but dude, they're going nowhere. Like I'm looking at earlier today, I'm looking at the West, looking at a few things. The Chargers have $200 million committed to 7 guys next year. 7 guys. And 19 of that is to JC Jackson, and it's all dead cap hit. It's crazy. It's crazy. Dude, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Khalil Mack, and Joey Bosa, all 4 are on the books for an average of $35 million next year.
And they're all young guys in the pinnacle of health, too.
They're all super young, pinnacle of health. Dude, you look at the Chiefs and people freak out I don't know if they could pay that guy $20 million a year. And the Chargers are just wait, $20 million? We don't even worry about $30 million. We're almost up to $40 million per. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. So they're going to tank. The Raiders have interim leaders right now. And the Broncos just put all their chips in for 35-year-old Russ and to lure Sean Payton. They're not going anywhere either long term. This division belongs to the Chiefs for the next 3 or 4 years, and they captured it earlier than ever this year. That's my biggest surprise of the year so far.
I mean, you look at the Broncos, and it's just like a guy who's been so beaten down time and time again at the blackjack table. I don't know, 45 hands ago, right? Maybe 8 years, 9 years ago, something like that. They won a ton, and they keep telling you how they're the best, and they're going to get right. They're going to go on a heater, but it never happens. They keep hitting on 17, and next thing you know, the dealer is winning with a 16 because they keep hitting and hitting and hitting. You're like, what are you doing? Stop! Just pump the brakes. What are you doing, guy? But they keep doing it. And then they're like, all right, let's give a huge contract to Russell Wilson. Let's win all this money back at once. Okay. We're going to put thousands of dollars on this one hand. You lose the hand and you go, okay. So now I'm in the hole 2 times now. So what do I do? Well, Let's try and double that. So let's get all the money we have. Let's give draft capital and money for Sean Payton, a head coach. Let's do that and double down. And then you hit on 19. That's the Broncos right now.
It is. It is crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. They're all going nowhere. This division, yeah, it's this level of dominance is amazing. Sterling, what's your last one here? What's your biggest surprise in a bad way for the Chiefs so far through 9 games?
Yeah, not fun, but receivers and Mahomes, the lack of connection. Receivers, I think, are 1A, but Mahomes might be 1B. I'm not trying to say that Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the NFL, right? Like if you're doing a draft, anything, he's the best quarterback in the NFL, but he's not played to his standard, which is crazy to think about. He's been very, very good, but his standard, you expect a little bit more. Few overthrows, a couple of just head scratching throws, Josh Allen-esque throws.
Yep.
At times you'll see a guy wide open and he just won't throw it, won't look his way, holding onto the ball too long instead of just winging it out of bounds. I would say it's a little disappointing. But again, when you have such high expectations for a guy, when he's shown you time and time again that he's just a freak of nature, you expect that every single time, every single year. And so far, he's had his struggles, and I think it's only fair to point them out.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I think we have to be willing to critique the team, and no one is beyond that. And you're totally right there. I'm going to focus in on the receivers just because I just want to say, I'll say this. It doesn't have to, we don't have to like beat the dead horse, but when you come into the season and you say, we're going to carry 7 guys, you looked at that room, you looked at 7 guys in that room and said, can't do without you or you or you or you and you. 7 times you looked at those guys and said, I got to have every one of you. And then you looked at other positions, you're like, sorry, we got to let you go because I need all 7 of these schmoes. That's basically what they did, right? Then you come into the season and you're like, okay, I'd take Rashee Rice. I trade you for a dilly bar at Dairy Queen.
I love dilly bars, dude.
I know, right? Anyway, look, man. Look, I mean, Justin Ross, maybe that's a legal thing and he would have got better. Sky Moore, maybe it's like a lack of trust or coaching. Maybe there's like a weird coaching circle because there's so many guys in new places on that coaching staff, including Matt Nagy, Connor Embry, whatever. I mean, we all have our reasons and there probably is many layers to this, but when you keep 7 guys, I expect at least 4 of them to be worth their salt. And we've seen Justin Watson, by the way, who deserves a lot more credit than probably what we're saying here. We've seen Justin Watson and Rashee Rice. And then other than that, it's been a lot of like weird, ranging from weird to very disappointing. And that's really off-putting when they kept so many and had to lose other players to make that work.
So Brett Veach has been great at every position, either early in the draft, middle of the draft, late at draft, at finding someone that can work, finding either superstars, studs, average players, good players, useful players in every single position, every single round in the draft outside of wide receiver. Now, some teams, they have a knack for that. You look at the, let's say the Pittsburgh Steelers, right? They perpetually find guys that have success. Yeah. Hell, they traded Chase Claypool for a 2nd-round draft pick. Like that is absurd, right? But then you look at the Chiefs. And if you want a baseball comparison here, let's say, let's compare it to starting pitchers or pitchers in general, like the Tampa Bay Rays, right? And the Cleveland Guardians. They can identify talent, they can develop talent, and they find ways for that talent to matter in their system. The Chiefs are like the Royals when it comes to starting pitching. It might even be the consensus guy. It might be, yeah, it's a good pick. But then they go through the system and something is wrong. Whether it's they didn't identify the guy, it's a bad schematic fit for the player, they don't have the development for the player, it seems to be off. And it only seems to be with wide receiver, and I just don't understand. I mean, you can even want to throw like Cornell Powell, I get it, 5th rounder, but again, he's hit on all these other 5th rounders on all these other positions, and he can't at wide receiver. Rashee Rice might be the only outlier, but again, we're talking about a guy who's going to go for 725 yards and not 1,000, right? Come on now. You know, Kadarius Toney, they traded for him. Was that an identification issue, a developmental issue? He was big in the Super Bowl, and then he can't get onto the field this year, and there's been struggles year or game after game after game. Sky Moore. So I'm asking you, is this a developmental issue, an identifying talent issue? Where do you see the disconnect happening?
I don't know, and I wish I knew. There's a part of me that thinks it's in the coaching. There's a part of me, and what makes that frustrating is that's the one part we'll never know. Like, we will never be privy to what's happening inside Arrowhead. But Todd Pinkston is in his first year, former receiver, but he's coaching running backs. Connor Embry, who the hell is that? Coaching wide receivers for the first time. Matt Nagy coming back in. People were like, "Oh, we missed Bieniemy." But the problem is, remember the problem with Bieniemy is, and then he would take all this criticism, and it was like, you don't know how much praise or criticism to give anyone but Andy Reid on that whole offensive staff. You just don't. Now, if you look at the D line, you're like, Joe Cullen, hell of a job. He's directly responsible. We know it, right? Like, I mean, even with Spags there, you could still like positionally look at the ways in which a whole unit is either developing or not. And the problem here on offense is like, it's this weird gelatinous, it's like a nebulous fog where you're like, it's a cauldron. I just throw in Eye of Newt and Ward of Toad and I stir it all together. And that's the potion. And who knows what's responsible because I just threw it all in. And it's like, well, the stew isn't working. And so for us outside of Arrowhead, it's impossible to know. Is it like, I think that Brett Veach is so good at finding cornerbacks because his cornerbacks coaches tell him, I need this, this, and this. And if you give me a guy who can do all these things, I'll make him productive no matter what his name is. Right. Like that's what I think. And so what I think is at wide receiver, they're going, maybe if I give you 5 slot guys, one of them will work. I mean, we're not even getting the right, like,
it's all slots. It's all slot guys.
You can't even get like the right positions out there within the position, let alone like exactly what you need. I don't know. There's something is amiss there. But I have a hard time putting on.
Jimmy did a really good comment here. We know exactly as much about how the offensive side of the ball runs as Andy wants us to. Exactly. He
totally.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. I mean, again, we're always told it's Andy that calls all the plays, but even part of us is still like, yeah, but was part of it Bieniemy? Is part of it Matt Nagy? Where's the disconnect? Like, there's still that thought in the back of your mind of, even though Andy's saying that, how much of it is it true? How much of it is just a facade saying, all right, we'll take all the blame here. If something goes wrong, that's on me, no one else.
Yeah,
you don't know. And again, the Chiefs at times, I think you bring up a good point too. The rumor was, George Pickens had a bad interview, and after that, done. Didn't want to deal with him. You're building a football team here, not a church choir. Don't get me wrong. George Pickens seems like a headache, but I don't think that even after complaining about the past game with the Steelers, you take the talent, you put up with it. You don't have Tyreek Hill anymore to put up with. I get not wanting me first guys, and you want the culture and this, that, and the other, but at some point, you have to have a wide receiver that steps up and is like, yeah, I want the ball. Throw me the rock. I'm that guy. Because the Chiefs have no one like that on this team. And they need an alpha in that room to step up. I'm not saying Pickens would solve all the issues or DK Metcalf, but at times it seems like they cross off guys who have a little bit of me first mentality, especially at wide receiver, when it seems like, hey, maybe it's not the worst thing in the world here.
Yeah. And I'll add this. I agree with you 100%. I'll add this to the conversation. I was actually just on the phone with Matt Verderam, our friend, and who's also a friend of the site here. We were talking a few days ago, and I said, hey man, look, I grew up in Indiana, which meant that I loved the Chiefs from a distance, but I watched a lot of Peyton Manning, right? And Peyton Manning was like, especially in Indianapolis, they had like Reggie Wayne or they had like Marvin Harrison, but then also they had a bunch of like no-name dudes. And Manning was so smart, so good that it was like he would make household names out of guys like Austin Collie or Jacob Tammy, or I mean, it was just like total nobodies off the scrap heap, whatever. And I thought then, I'm like, holy hell, that like a great quarterback makes household names. I mean, some of the guys that Tom Brady was throwing to that became household names, they were just scrap. James White, and I mean, some of these guys were just scrap heap guys that
Yeah,
became.
it would have been Julian Edelman. I mean, who knows what Julian Edelman would have been outside of the
Correct.
New England system? Yeah,
correct. And I'm thinking, look, this is no slight on Mahomes. Mahomes is every bit a quarterback in the vein of Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He's shattering their records. So I'm not trying to knock Mahomes. I'm saying, why isn't Mahomes making a household name out of, like, if some of these other guys can do that, Mahomes should be doing that too. But there's a disconnect somewhere because Manning trusted those guys. Those guys were there. I mean, those guys were in the right positions. They caught the ball. I mean, they weren't dropping the ball. They were creating separation. So it's not Mahomes, but maybe part of it is. And it's not coaching, but maybe part of it is. And it's not talent, but maybe some of it is. And I think it's all that together. But the narrative of a great quarterback raising his receivers is not happening this year in Kansas City. And I think that's what we're all seeing and going, this should be better than it is.
yeah. All right, let's go to some quick regrades. Wow, I can't speak. I've done
this is
so
for
much
you.
radio today.
This is for you. Get off my lawn. Look, I set up a few quick hits here. I want just the first thing off your. We're gonna regrade Brett Veach's big offseason moves, a handful of them here, and I just want you to tell me A, B, C, D, or F. How would you regrade the move after 9 games? Okay.
Yep.
You good with this setup?
Yep.
Let me start with an easy one. Signing Drew Tranquil as a free agent.
A+. It was an A+ then. It's an A+ now.
Love it. Love it. Releasing Frank Clark.
I'm gonna go with a B. I'm going with a B.
Okay.
And the reason being is because the Chiefs are so deep at edge, and if FAU can't see the field, we got all those dogs there. How I got a dog in the house because my fiance just got home and opened the garage. There's so many dogs in the defensive line. They don't need Frank Clark.
That was a good inclusion there. The obvious bark we all hear. What about re-signing Jerick McKinnon?
B-.
Okay.
It's a playoff push, but he's not going to be used during the season, which doesn't take a lot of help off of Isaiah Pacheco. They still have Clyde Edwards-Helaire here, which is fine. I like McKinnon a lot, but if you're not going to use him a ton in the regular season, they should have brought in another running back as well, in my opinion. So it's not all against him. It's not all his fault. But if you don't trust Clyde and you don't trust McKinnon in the regular season, you need someone.
You do. What about the signing of Donovan Smith?
C+, B-. I will go on the B- side. The reason being, it wasn't a large contract, right? So that makes it a little more palatable. He's not been very good this year. He's not been bad. He's been just a guy. And for that contract, what's up, little dude? He likes that Donovan Smith signing a lot. He's like, yo, let me at him.
I love that little howl.
But he's been solid. The penalties are still an issue, but we knew they were going to be an issue. They have always been an issue, not just last year, right? They've always been an issue. Also how much is playing next to Joe Tooney helping him out as well, because Joe Tooney can make anyone better at left guard. So I'll probably say C+, B-.
Okay. Let's stay to the offensive line. What about Jawan Taylor, the big mega ticket?
Start the year F. From the penalties on, I will go. I'll go C so far. It's still a lot of money, man. Like, he's been really good in recent weeks. Don't get me wrong, really good, but he hasn't been Lane Johnson good, and he's getting paid like Lane Johnson. So for the same reason why I'm like, I'll bump up Donovan Smith a little bit because of the contract. I got to bump down Jawan Taylor because of the contract, right? And we're taking the whole thing in totality. I'm not saying it's not looking good for the future, because again, the penalties are starting to come back, are starting to go by the wayside, and we're starting to see production increase as well. I got to see it more, and he needs to be elite, right? You have to be Laramie Tunsil, but on the right side for that contract.
Yeah, true. One more for you. Mike Edwards, safety signing to be third safety. What do you think of that?
B. I mean, it was a really cheap contract, right? It was really cheap. He's made some pretty big impacts.
Yeah.
He's made some big impacts in games. Could Shamari Connor do some of the same things? Maybe. But if you trust the veteran and he's getting it done for that contract, why wouldn't you? That was a solid signing. Nothing spectacular, but it was a solid signing. I'll give that one a B.
Yeah, love it. Love it. Look, we're coming to the end of the show. Want to get to the must list, but want to ask you this. Who benefits on the Chiefs the most from the bye week?
Maybe Travis Kelce getting fully healthy, right? I think Kelce looks like he's been a little worn down of the past couple of weeks, just with some of the injuries, just worn down, right? I don't want to rip on the guy and be like, yeah, going to the Rangers World Series game, 2 days before your game, and just looking, who knows, man? These guys are different. Who knows what they do when they're here, right? For all we know, guys are out until 3 a.m. just getting hammered anyways. This just could be their normal Friday night. Like, we don't know for sure. They're young dudes, most of them. They have a lot of money. Obviously, they're going to have fun. We know that. So I think Kelce getting healthy, getting right, getting back. This is probably the biggest for him. Who do you think?
I'm going to go with the linebackers. Willie Gay playing through a back problem is like, with Nick Bolton out, you need everyone else to be at full strength. Drew Tranquil had an in-game injury that limited him, and then he came right back. And then Willie Gay has been literally playing through like questionable status. So on the other side, as the schedule gets much tougher, I would like Willie Gay to be at full strength, Tranquil to be at full strength, Chenal full strength if you can't have Bolton.
Yeah, that's a good call. Real good call.
Yeah. Well, folks, we've arrived at the must list. Richard, you want to get in here?
What's up, guys? Long time no see.
You got a great
What's up, brother?
stash, man. It's a great stash you're rocking.
Thank you. I haven't cut it for any reason, so it remains immaculate.
Well, this is the must list, the time of the show where we recommend something we've read, watched, taken in some way, consumed, and we want to recommend it to you. Everyone here is looking real motivated. I'm not sure which one of you wants to go first.
I'll go first. Let's get this out of the way. Plus, I'm still coming back from a cold here, so I can't speak too much. But I want to recommend an album. Very works well for the holidays, for fall, I guess, for just cold weather and just hanging out on the porch and just looking out into the stars. We're gonna recommend an indie folk band called Hazel City. It's fronted by Clay Frankel, who was in such bands as, I have stuff to show. Twin Peaks, they've been active for like 10 years in Chicago, classic rock band. He's also kind of one of the two guys in Grapetooth, which is like an 80s style dance hall band. But he's got a new project, and it's all indie folk music. Really sad, depressing stuff for winter. So yeah, indulge in all that good stuff.
Hazel City,
the album that they released is called Old Friends. You can find it on Spotify, and then you can buy it on Bandcamp. So support your local indie artists.
Nice. I'll go next. Sterling, you take us out.
I love how Richard goes, yeah, it's an indie band. You might know him from these two other bands that clearly no one else has ever heard of. It's just keep being you, Richard. It makes
People
me so
know
happy.
Twin Peaks. They're like a 10-year-old band, man. They've been out for a long time. I knew about them before I moved here too. Like, I just knew of Twin Peaks.
I did not. Did you, Sterling?
No, that's why. Yeah, I was befuddling. Grapetooth.
Grapetooth.
Who doesn't know Grapetooth?
It's the feeling you get when you drink too much wine. Your teeth turn into grapes.
Dude.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna recommend a series. Blackbird. Have you guys seen Blackbird on Apple TV?
No, I don't have Apple TV, but pitch me Apple TV.
Serial killer is it's about a serial killer. It's a true story of a guy who had a prison sentence due to drug trafficking, and this serial killer was going to get out of prison from Springfield, Missouri on a technicality. He was going to win his appeal, and his appeal was like a month away. and the FBI and CIA recruit this guy, or recruit this other drug guy who's in jail already, to go undercover and get this guy to confess where the bodies are. He has a month to do it. And yeah, it's a true story. He ends up doing it. It's crazy. It's crazy. The acting's pretty cool. It has it's got like Greg Kinnear and I don't know, some other people I'd recognize, but I can't think of anything right now. Anyway, I love serial killer stuff for some reason.
What's it called?
It's called Blackbird. Yeah. Do you guys like Zodiac? Did you ever see Zodiac by David Fincher?
Yeah.
It's a creepy movie.
I love that kind of shit. So yeah, that's right up my alley. Anyway, it's like that. If you like Zodiac, you'll like this. Or Mindhunters, like one of those kind of shows.
For me, I have two. First one's going to the dentist. They get a bad rap, man. I went the other day. I went yesterday morning. It feels really good. Like it's really relaxed. I almost fell asleep. Take care of your teeth, folks. It's good for you. They're really nice people. I don't know. It's been a while since I'd gone, so I went and it was nice. Almost fell asleep when they do like the little I don't know. I almost fell asleep. It was nice. Very relaxing. Second one is Marvelous 3. They're back. The band Marvelous 3. Richard, don't give me that face. Come on. You know Marvelous 3. The album Hey. The singer Butch Walker. Also very, very popular. Butch Walker is also a very, very popular producer. Did a lot of stuff just with a ton of different bands. He's a lot of times maybe like your favorite band's favorite musician or something like that. Like Butch Walker's awesome. So this was his band in the late 90s, early 2000s, very poppy, called Marvelous 3. And they just got back together doing a reunion tour, playing like 2 shows in Atlanta. And I think maybe a couple in Chicago, actually, Richard, if you want to check them out. So Marvelous 3 and Butch Walker, they're back.
I saw Butch open up for Ryan Adams in Seattle like a few years ago.
Did you?
But I had no idea that Marvelous 3 was back together.
Yeah, so I saw Butch Walker open up for Avril Lavigne. Think of that one. Think of trying to tell friends in high school that you're going to go see Avril Lavigne and be like, no, it's for the opener. I want to go see Butch Walker. But now me, I'm like, I'm not going to lie. Skater Boy is still a bop.
That's a banger.
Still goes hard, yeah. So
a banger. Is that what the kids still say?
I think the kids say that, yeah.
I wanted to use that word to sound younger than I am. I hope that's all right.
Well, hey, kids who's listening, all of you young folk, make sure you bang the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the Arrowhead Addict YouTube channel, and make sure you give us a 5-star review. Give us a 5-star, and if you hate us, still give us 5 stars, but tell us what we did wrong. That way, we can work on it. We're all people who want to work on ourselves. That's what we do here. So
we're not mid. We're not mid.
There you go, you youngster. So for Richard, for Matt Connor, I am Sterling Holmes. Thank you guys so much. Until tomorrow, we are out.